hello, and welcome to another episode of The Cheap Seat. We're in partnership with our friends at Classic Shirts ZA. So please do check them out on their on their website. You can go to Classic Shirts ZA. You can go and see what they have in store. They've been really great partners for us. We ran a promotion. They've been really awesome in supporting the show. Please do go check them out. The shirt of the week, which is something we always have. So this shirt of the week is something that probably Dean can talk to more about. I know what he doesn't like these guys from Paris, and it is the Paris Saint-Germain white kit produced with the Jordan brand. This was, I think, last year's. It's a fourth kit for this year, actually. It's the fourth kit for this year. Remember, the away kit's that white one with the pink, and this one is the fourth kit, which really, I think, goes well with anything that you would want to wear on a date night. It is Valentine's Day. Maybe you want to surprise the girl you're going on with. Remember, the discount code is CheapSeats50. Don't be a Tinder swindler, but you can buy this one. You can try find someone to swindle you this one and try and enjoy it as much as possible. Dean, what do you think of that kit?
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. I mean, Jordan just never misses. And I was reading up a bit about it when I saw the collab with the Bulls, and they've got the diamond motif on the shorts. That's the nod to the Bulls, which is really, really cool. And yeah, I mean, I'm going to start a petition for Jordan to make Spurs third and fourth kits next season because they are just beautiful. So yeah,
because it couldn't possibly get worse than the Spurs third and fourth kit this season, can it?
That is the third kit. Yes, away kit is the most beautiful thing in the world, out of this world.
Yes. So today's show, guys, we've had a winter break. Everyone's coming back. Wahid's team keeps on losing. And so I kind of thought, wait,
we drew with Burnley. Don't. We got a point.
It felt like a loss, though.
No. That's how we're losing. We're drawing.
So yes. So and obviously Spursy doing Spursy things, conceding in the weirdest of moments. But it's the first time we've had a winter break in a while, gents. Or ever since I've been alive watching this thing, I've never seen this a winter break where people get to go to Dubai. But I thought it'd be the right time to have a bit of a mid-season awards show where we discuss and who's done well, who's done badly, who's on the fraud watch. As I'm sure Wahid would like to let us know who he's going to put on the fraud watch. So the first category, guys. Actually, no. Dean, what do you guys think of this mid-season break? Dean, let me start with you.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. It was at a weird time with AFCON also happening at the same time. So some oaks had a break, some oaks didn't. Everyone went on holiday. Some people did some terrible things during their breaks. And it was a very weird time in the footballing world. But judging from what we saw these past 2 days or in the Premier League so far, people have enjoyed the break. They've come back fresh and looking to kick on a little bit. Obviously not United so much. Didn't really have a break. Neither did Spurs clearly, so I can't really say much. But yeah, I thought it was quite nice actually. Not to worry about Spurs for a week. I always enjoy those weeks.
Wahid, I know you guys played Middlesbrough, but you still had a very long break before then. What do you think of this concept of stopping and let everyone sit with their families?
I quite like the idea of a mid-season break. I think that the English league and the structure of English football probably do with a little mid-season break, just a week or a week and a half, just just almost like an international break simulation, just where there's no break, where there's no games. And I think it's a good idea going forward, especially in these times of coronavirus and stuff. Just let your squad recuperate, train. And I know a lot of teams just don't have the chance to train. United, I said to you guys when Ralph started that they hadn't had much time with the training ground, so now they have. So there's no excuses. Still, I'm not that impressed with Ralph and what he's done so far at the club. I know I was a big. I was in his corner to start with, and he was the one on high on my list to start with. But I haven't been impressed. But I think the league has to get used to this mid-season break thing, because there's going to be an extended one in this upcoming season with the World Cup. So that's not much of a break for the players, but the league will take a 6-week break between November and December.
Yes, and so that's I agree with it. I just like, guys, take a break. Like, I love the fact that we've got games all year round, well, in this period, but adjusting to the World Cup will work, and maybe giving guys a little bit of rest is something that we kind of need to get to. So I asked the guys, if you're watching and listening to us, that they must prepare. That gave them 4 categories, and we're going to discuss all the 4 categories in the mid-season awards show. And the first award is the most valuable player, the MVP. And the reason why I've got another award also coming up called the most outstanding player, that obviously gives you who's been the most outstanding guy. But MVP for me is the guy who is the most valuable guy to that team. Take him out and everything falls apart. But in that team's success this year, who is that person that without them they wouldn't be where they are? And so I'm going to start with you, Dean. Dean, who's your MVP at this halfway stage in the season?
So it was tricky because it was between the 2 awards. It's very similar, so it's kind of a little bit tough to choose between the 2. But when I had a look at most valuable player, I also looked at guy that just plays all the time. And for me, one of the people, or my player, or most valuable player that's like unlocked an already unbeatable team was João Cancelo from City. So if you have a look at what he's done this season, like, he's just everywhere. I mean, he's officially a fullback, but the guy's just everywhere. And I think he really allows Pep's team to do what Pep wants them to do. He knows that he starts him at left back wherever he needs to be, but that guy just floats everywhere. And I think that's what really unlocks City going forward, that midfield, especially that the midfield and the front 3 just thrive when Cancelo is on the pitch running around, and it just puts another body in the box. And his ball skills are unreal. Shooting is unreal. He can probably walk into any midfield in the Premier League anyway, probably almost anywhere in the world he could walk into. So for me, from last season, he played, but he wasn't that regular. And this season, he is the first name on the on the team sheet that Pep puts on. And you just know he's magic. Whenever he gets the ball, something's going to happen. And I think that's really been one of the key successes of that City team this season so far. So for me, couldn't look past Cancelo.
Okay, Wahid, do you agree with Cancelo? Do you have another name?
No, I'll talk about Cancelo because I've talked about Cancelo on my next word. So we'll talk about him. I'll talk about him just now from an outstanding player perspective. But when you asked me for the most valuable player, what I did was I thought about the player who at this point in the Premier League would probably cost another team the most amount of money. And to me, that would be Mohamed Salah. The guy's unreal. He just doesn't stop scoring. He's the one season wonder who's gone on like 5 seasons. I mean, he's phenomenal, and there's no real words to describe the level of output he gets in the Premier League. And I know he's a little bit old, but I still think that this is a guy who should fetch 150 million pounds plus. I know there's the contract situation and all sorts which might reduce that price, but he's an unreal footballer, and if he was sold today, Liverpool would be making a ton of money. He would be more valuable in economic perspective to Liverpool than Philippe Coutinho was, and he fetched 143 million pounds. I think that Liverpool might look at it, and if Mohamed Salah doesn't sign a new contract, Liverpool might look at it and say that, well, his value in use is better than the cost, than anything that they might be selling him. So maybe just keep him for a season. That's how valuable he is, and that's how valuable his output and his goals are. And I know they've already sort of started putting more like people in place to maybe replace this player with Diaz and some other players. But I mean, Mohamed Salah, you can't look past him. Best player in the Premier League.
Yes. Best player in the Premier League. I can't agree with that. I honestly can't. on my end,
Best player, not the player of the season. That's two different things.
Yes. No. That's not fair.
Yeah, that's Harry Kane, obviously.
I'm with you. Cancelo, like both your guys, Cancelo and Mo Salah were up there for me. But I looked at because when I look at these MVP things across all different sports, I look at the guy who has pushed a team to a place where they're not supposed to be. So, for instance, I look at like West Ham. I look at Arsenal, and I look at Manchester United, and like as Wahid's saying, David De Gea is up there, and he was up there in mine. But for me, it was Aaron Ramsdale. I kind of feel like Aaron Ramsdale has really put Arsenal in the hunt for fourth when nobody was expecting this team to be fourth, and he's that last line of defense. Like you can look at the Ben Whites and the Odegaards and all those guys and ESR, and without Ramsdale, like I feel like this Arsenal team wouldn't be where they are, and it's actually quite interesting because he's the one guy I didn't want him to be on that Arsenal side, but I kind of get why, and he's really important. So he'd be the like number 3 in all of that. But from a West Ham perspective, I'd look at not even Mikel Antonio side, Ben Rama. I think Ben Rama's been the guy.
Bowen.
But actually no. You
was great in the beginning.
Yes, like he set them up on the path, and now I think it's Jared Bowen. But for me, taking a small club that's not supposed to be there, well, yes, and I call Arsenal a small club because, quite frankly, we finished 7th, to a spot where they are fighting for fourth and they are contending, even though they've sold the number 1 top goal scorer to Barcelona on a free. So for me, that was
a sale. Can you guys say you sold Aubameyang? Did you just put him on a plane and say, please don't come back?
Well, he put himself on a plane. He went there. He was like, I'm out. But yeah, so for me, that was it. Are there any other candidates that you'd look into in the Premier League where you're like, wait, this guy could be someone from a most valuable conversation? Even if it's like a coach. Is there somebody around in the Premier League where you're like, this guy is worth more than what this club is wanting?
I reckon Steven Gerrard, if you're looking at coaches, is definitely one of the guys that what he's done at Aston Villa, I think is going very much under the radar, and he's pulling that team together, and he's putting together a force to be reckoned with. That I think if they have
3-3 with Leeds.
Okay, but if you have a look at
how shit Leeds are,
do you know how those are games Dean Smith loses previously, and that's what
Leeds are worse than us.
That's a lie. No one's worse than you. I think, I reckon Gerrard's definitely up there. Just maybe have a bit of a soft spot for Villa, just because they look like a team that could always do better than what they are. But getting the likes of Coutinho, we've spoken about it so much that he's pulling strings there. It looks like they were on the cusp of they could cement like top half at the end of last season, and then they fell off at the early part of the season. And it looks like they're trying to get back and really trying to. It looks like you wouldn't be surprised if they finish top half or like 8th.
I want to throw a name out there. Maybe I know Wahid, you mentioned Mo Salah, but when I was looking, I kind of stumbled upon Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's the assist leader in the Premier League, and he's got 10 assists. Obviously, Mo Salah's got 9, but we get that. Like Mo's in a world of his own. But Trent is for Liverpool this season has been truly outstanding.
Yeah, but you talk about that from an attacking perspective, and sometimes I thought he's a bit suspect defensively. So then when we compare him to the likes of João Cancelo, I think João Cancelo is probably a better all-round player in the positions that Trent plays in. So if I was picking a team and forgetting that Cancelo is filling in at left back because of Ben Mendy's issues, but if I had to pick between João Cancelo and Trent Alexander-Arnold, I get Trent's a fantastic footballer, but if I'm picking a team for balance, I'm probably going Cancelo. So is Trent MVP in that case when I'd probably pick another player over him?
But I also think anyone in that Liverpool squad goes under the radar because of what Salla does. Like you can blow lights out and you still will be second best.
And Wahid, you said
who I looked at was N'Golo Kante, because I said that if we look at Chelsea with N'Golo Kante and Chelsea without N'Golo Kante, it's almost two different sides. He's the player who makes them able to win the Champions League, able to do the things they do. And he is, for me, one of the MVPs of the Premier League. And so he would be second for me. And then I mentioned the chat box here, but I didn't mention him out loud, was David De Gea. He's been unreal this season, and I think he probably pips Aaron Ramsey as the goalkeeper of the season. United are
Ramsey or Ramsdale?
Same thing.
United are still in with a shout for top four, and honestly, without David De Gea, would be like 17th. We would be so far behind without De Gea.
Yes, one can look at that Norwich game in December where he literally saved them out of the mire there.
Defense has been shocking,
So the next team, the next award is Most Outstanding Player. And this is the guy who has shot the lights out statistically or has just dominated the league. And yes, Mo Salah sits there. We know.
Yeah.
We understand. Dean, who is your person?
I mean, my person was Mo Salah. It's so clear. The guy's having a season that's incredible. He's averaging a goal every 98 minutes, which he's literally scoring every game. And that's across every type of competition. You just put him on the football pitch and he goes. I mean, the man's an absolute robot. For him to come back from AFCON on Sunday, rock up at Liverpool training Monday and be like, Klopp, let's go, I'm ready. It just shows it may be a bit of a reaction, but it just shows that he's fit. He wants to play. If he can play, he wants to play. He wants to get on that pitch. He wants to score goals. And there's no player for me that's better in the Premier League, honestly, outstanding wise. There's a reason why FPL, you look at FPL and then you can always tell like some of the guys that are performing and who people want to do. And he's the only person that's a perma captain from an FPL perspective. So yeah, for me, Mo Salah, no doubt.
I think
Wahid was scared of Liverpool players, so I think that's why he disappeared.
I'm sure he'll be back soon. My most outstanding was João Cancelo. I've never seen,
especially between the two. I mean,
yes, you kind of switch between the two, but I think João Cancelo was producing at a very high level. The other name that I had, as we bring Wahid back in, is Diego Jota. I know Salah sits in this realm of amazing, but Diego Jota has been the guy who is just always, when he comes on for Liverpool, he just performs. And he's got 10 goals this season. I think this is probably the highest goal record season that he's had in the Premier League. And I do think even when Salah and Mane left, Diego Jota carried a lot of that burden for Liverpool. And so I think he's the most outstanding candidate outside of João Cancelo. Wahid, who was your most outstanding?
João Cancelo. I think that he is the outstanding player of the Premier League at the moment. I love the fact that United were offered him for about 3 seasons, and then Woodward and his team. Yep, he was offered to United 3 times.
Because he was at Inter and then he went to Juve.
Yeah. So
and then they did a swap deal with Danilo.
Yeah. So the Athletic reported, and I remember it at the time, that United were heavily linked with him, and the Athletic reported that Woodward turned down the opportunity to sign him 3 times. Instead, scouted 500 right backs and concluded that Aaron Wan-Bissaka was the best right back of all those that they scouted. So I love the fact that now the best player in the Premier League is someone that Ed Woodward deemed not good enough for Man United. Anyway, João Cancelo is an amazing footballer. I love the fact that he's able to defend as a defender but attack as a central midfielder. He tucks in so well and adds to City's attack, which which allows De Bruyne and a player like Bernardo Silva to push into those pockets between midfield and defense and dictate the way that City play the game. And tactically, João Cancelo is so astute. And to me, at the moment, he has been the outstanding player of the Premier League this season.
That's I think you can't run away from those two players, Mo Salah and João Cancelo this season. They've been really good, and it's been surprising because you'd expect guys like at the start of the season, Wahid, I understand CR7, Kevin De Bruyne.
We're talking about a piano-less Alexis Sanchez here. Come on, like we're not going to bring CR7.
We'll talk about it. Don't you worry. We'll talk about it.
So we have another
CR7 in the best players in the league, man. This guy's past it.
but this is the best league in the world, and you thought we'd have a lot more names to throw into the pot to do that and to talk about, but I
will say this, and I think his season is being overlooked because of the shit that's happening around him. But Bruno Fernandez is having another good season in terms of his numbers and his output. Whether he's being as influential,
or is it just the last 2 weeks that he's played well?
No, overall,
Man went missing. He went fishing.
Wait, hold up. 5 goals and 7 assists. 5 assists and 7 goals.
No, that's just the Premier League. I'm talking about overall.
Yes.
Overall, Bruno has this season 12 assists and 7 goals. That's 19 goal contributions in 30 games. So I think his season's being a little bit overlooked.
How many of those came in one game, though? Because you always have to look at that. Because you had a crack the first game until CR7.
So his goals have come in a glut in the first game. But having said that, he's not a striker, and those numbers are still really good for a central midfield player. So I do think he's being overlooked. He isn't. Let's not get it twisted. He's not nearly as effective as he was for the half season when he first came in, and for all of last season when we came to second. But he has been really good. And if we were talking about him in terms of his ability to compete with the likes of Bernardo Silva and Kevin De Bruyne as the best midfielders in the Premier League, the best attacking midfielders in the Premier League, he's still putting his hat in the ring. Is he like head and shoulders above his peers like he was for 18 months? No, but he is still a name
on the list.
Yes. Yeah. So the next award that we're giving out is the surprise package of the season, the team, the player who surprised you the most. I'm going to start with Wahid on this one. Who surprised you the most?
Jared Bowen, £22 million. West Ham surprising me. I didn't think they'd be this good. I mean, they play with a handicapped manager called David Moyes. I mean, that guy's stealing a living since 2001. But
they signed him from Hull, eh?
Jared Bowen, 10 goals and 10 assists and 11 goals. So 21 goal contributions in 34 games. Is absolutely phenomenal. The guy has been what has made West Ham tick. He's been really, really good, underrated. Probably not a household name if you're not watching the Premier League every weekend like we do. He's not going to be someone who your average 12-year-old kid knows about, like the same way they know about Mo Salah. But yeah, really, really good player, and he's helped West Ham to have to be punching above their weight, and they're competing for spots they wouldn't have expected to at a different venture.
Yeah, Dean, who was your surprise package this season? I had I can't look past that Arsenal do, but I think Emil Smith really did surprise me in his production. This season for Arsenal, but for me,
why is he surprising you? Because he was like the golden boy of your academy.
Why is it surprising? But remember, a lot of the golden boys of our academy have struggled to make the step up into the Premier League, and the biggest problem with Arsenal was getting these guys to actually score goals, to be as clinical in front of goal, because you can see the talent that Emil Smith Rowe has. It was just backing it up with a 10-goal season or a season where you got a chunk of goals. And him being Arsenal's top goal scorer this season.
Has he impressed you more than Bukayo Saka?
I knew what Bukayo. I think last season Bukayo was my surprise package. ESR was a little bit late. I think they played West Brom last year in the snow, last season in the snow. And I kind of got a sense of Emil Smith coming into his own, but he kind of faded towards the back end of the season, where Saka went from in leaps and bounds towards the back end of last season to get into that.
Because if I were picking an Arsenal player to be surprised by, I'd probably pick Saka. But having said that, I've just realized that I agree with you, because when he surprised me was at the Euros. I wasn't expecting him to be as good as he was at the Euros. When he came into the side, he was really phenomenal, and he did really good things for England. And I probably wasn't expecting that. So I'm probably conflating a bit of his international form from last season. Because remember last season, and I was like, I saw in our WhatsApp group, I said, I don't know if this guy, I'm like, what is this guy? Like, is he a left back? Is he a right winger? Or is he a central midfielder? I don't know what this kid plays. So he wasn't impressing me that much. Then he came into the England side. He was actually really good.
Yeah, and towards the back end of that season, he was starting to play on the right side of midfield, of the front three, and that's where he kind of got into it. But for me, my most outstanding outside of Arsenal was not most outstanding surprise package was Brighton. They really did surprise me. They've hit a bit of a skid now, but it was a sense of, Graham Potter. You're like, oh, this is what Graham Potter can actually do. They're no longer XGFC. They actually are scoring goals. And so I was really surprised by them and the way that they've played. Obviously, with the games in hand and everything else, the league is still wonky. But I do think they are set to fight for a European place if 7 is the number.
I don't think that's a bad shot. I think the biggest thing with Brighton is, and I know Wahid loves him, but Maupay just doesn't crack it as a striker at a Premier League level for me. And having Maupay and Welbeck you're always going to be on the back foot a little bit. So from a Brighton perspective, I agree. And I think they've always had a solid kind of midfield there with Basuma, and then in defense having some strong names in there. But yeah, I think Brighton is
for that joke. People have to follow us on the cheap seats for a long time to understand that.
The last our banter target.
Yeah, so Dean, what was your time?
So for me, as much as it kills me to say, my surprise package has been the whole of Arsenal. And I think a lot of people will say that because if we have a look, all of us were laughing at them for spending 200 odd million in the summer for people who we didn't think would crack the first 11. Ramsdale we spoke about. But I think from watching that Brentford game, losing 2-0 on the first day, and then that City game, I remember watching it, and City were just slicing through them like hot knife through butter. They were just doing whatever they wanted. Arsenal are now, I think, what is it, 6th? They're above Spurs, which is shocking.
With 3 games in hand.
Yeah, but games in hand this season are not great. Rather have points on the table than games in hand. But yeah, they've really surprised me. Obviously, they've got problems, which I think all 3 of our clubs are almost having not the same problems, but we all can acknowledge that we are not where we should be. But I think Arteta's plan, as much as it's always had holes in it, has kind of looked at moments like it's come together this season, and looks like a little bit more than just Pep's cone boy. So yeah, for me, there's still a few. Obviously, you need someone up front now because Aubameyang's gone. But if the youth that Arsenal have recruited now can look to kick on with the likes of, like we spoke in ESR and Saka, and then Odegaard, obviously, if those guys can stick around and continue with their Premier League experience and work together in the Premier League, I think it's good things for Arsenal as much as I absolutely hate the words I'm saying. They've honestly surprised me. I was, after those first 3 games, I thought, cool, Arsenal, this is the time, bottom half, let's go.
To me, Mikel Arteta is the guy who would be my surprise package, because I didn't think it takes balls to kick away your club captain and let him go. It takes guts, and a lot of managers in this era would say no. And I'm for player power, and I would have loved for them to reconcile. But the fact that he did that, and now he's in a situation where he's going to be reliant on all of those, that's going to be quite interesting to see towards the back end of the season if he doesn't go from surprise package to fraud watch. But in the first half of the season, he's played some really good football. He's been very brave with just picking these kids. Like, he literally made 5 signings in a week and they all started the following weekend. And like, for me, Tomiyasu's like really good at right back for Arsenal. And like even Ben White, like I sat there going English premium. We paid English premium 50 million, but he fits the system. He's a really good ball playing centre back, and yes, he has his moments where he's like sometimes he doesn't know what he's doing, but he's been there. The other players that have surprised me is Conor Gallagher. Yes, Emmanuel Dennis. What?
Dennis.
Yeah, he's not playing the greatest side, but as a player, he's been a big surprise package. He didn't come in for lots of money, but surprised everyone, I think, by being as good and proficient as he is.
Yeah, and for me, Conor Gallagher, I think Conor Gallagher in that Crystal Palace side has been just amazing. And you ask yourself, with the problems that Chelsea are having, if they could end that loan tomorrow, I think they would, to have him back in there. The best part, Wahid, yes?
I've also been surprised at how bad Leicester are. Like, I wasn't expecting this at all.
Well, I think a lot of it happened with Fofana went out just before the season started.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to solidify that defense. And then
they bought Vestergaard.
Yeah, and he doesn't play. He doesn't. I mean, he's bench. I've barely seen him. Like Rodgers throws him on at 85 minutes. So it was a bit weird.
But guys, are you surprised? Because this is what happens with Brendan Rodgers.
Let's not forget the FA Cup reigning champions, and now they are the worst defense in the league. I think.
Yes.
Yeah, and like last season, the last couple of seasons, they're pushing for top 4, and this season they're definitely not doing that. They're losing a lot of games. They're nowhere close to where they should be. Like Brendan Rodgers was being talked about as a potential Man United manager a couple of months ago, and
I thought West Ham and Leicester
we talked about that at the end of the season. I think. Because I don't think the pool's that big. But like, I'm not surprised by it. I kind of feel like Brendan Rodgers finds himself in a purgatory that he found himself with Liverpool, where he can't break through into the big time, into being like a perennial top 4 candidate and fighting for the title. And now you're sitting here going, because he's not. I don't think he's that manager that wins you the league. I think he's a better David Moyes in terms of keeping you there and thereabouts in Europe, and you'll consistently be a Europa League side. But I've always known Rodgers' sides after February to just fall apart, and I think this is just part of what we're seeing. They have moments, but because he's got those injuries, like it's just capitulated.
Injuries
and he doesn't. I
smash them. Yeah.
I don't know how he doesn't know how to build a squad. So I think he needs to take that away because he can coach. So he needs to take that away and give it to somebody else. Let somebody else go get players for him. And then they'll come back, because we've praised Leicester for their signings and everything else.
Their recruitment's really good, but it hasn't been good. Like,
no, but
this season has not.
Yeah. And also, they needed to move on from Madison and whoever that other child is on the other side, whose name escapes me. Yes, they need to move on from them. They need to find somebody else. They need to figure it out. But anyway. Next one.
Wait, one person I want to say.
Yes.
Surprising. And I know it's not fantastic, but from a Spurs perspective, Eric Dyer has been incredible in that defensive line. He's really stood up. He's nowhere near the best defender in the league, but he makes Varane look like he's just woken up and started playing soccer again. So for me, Eric Dyer, he's still Eric Dyer. It's still not fantastic, but in terms of just solely Spurs based, I think Eric Dyer has been one of the best players for us this season, and Lucas Moura. I think those two have probably been the most surprising for me. Was not expecting it, but I really think those two have caught it. But I just needed to throw in a Spurs Spurs chat.
Sure. Next one is Fraud Watch. Wahid, you have the stage. I'm waiting for a big burly Belgian to be put up.
100 million pounds. 100 million pounds. For a Love Island dude. Like, honestly, what the hell? For like a guy straight out of Love Island.
Oh, so Lukaku's the one you're putting on. I'm putting
No.
It's going Grealish.
Oh, Grealish. Oh, sorry.
Jack Grealish. A British record transfer for Jack Grealish. Have you seen how he plays for City? He can barely make the side.
Well, he doesn't make the side, does he?
Yeah. You got to give him. There's no premium you can give him because, oh man, best piece of business Aston Villa ever did. Best piece of business they ever did. And oh man, they paid, eh? So the guys
Lukaku comes second.
Lukaku's up there. Yeah.
He comes second for me on Fraud Watch, but for me, Jack Grealish takes the cake because I think that the level of expectation. If you look at Jack Grealish last season, he was phenomenal for Aston Villa, and he went into the Euros as almost like England's hope. If you heard the crowd when Jack Grealish came on, the crowd
when Grealish wasn't playing, it was outro.
No, exactly. And when he used to come on, you'd hear this sense of excitement from the crowd when Jack Grealish came on, and he was almost like the blue-eyed boy of England. And I bought into it. I wanted Jack Grealish at Man United, and I know that Man United wanted Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wanted Jack Grealish and got Donny van de Beek instead. But having said that, what we've seen from Jack Grealish at Man City almost strikes me as him suffering from a big fish, a big fish.
I agree with that.
He was a big fish in a small pond, and now he's struggling to be a big fish in a big pond.
He missed that middle step, I think. He missed that, from Villa to City is a big jump. He needed to go Villa
Spurs.
I would have taken him as Spurs.
Yeah,
but
he needs to go to Villa Spurs City is a more natural progression.
And honestly, I think that Grealish transfer was just them missing out on Kane and being
yes,
we have to do something and we have to make some big name signing. We've got this money, let's go. And I mean, it could have worked out and then it would have been amazing. But he's just another number in a world of midfielders in that City squad. And Foden, you're not going to replace Foden, one of their own, with Grealish.
Look, I think they wanted him. But they had him. I think it's good. I think with this, and I think with a guy like Jack.
The one thing I want to say about Jack Grealish is that he'll be 27 this year. It's not like he's young and he's learning. This should be his prime. He should be able to step into a City side and be the best player. If you're gonna sign a 26, 27-year-old player for £100 million, he needs to come in and be the best player. I know that you guys are going to mention Jaden Sancho just now. Fair enough, okay? The guy hasn't hit the ground running, but he's 21. He's 21 years old, coming from a different league. Jack Grealish has gone from the Premier League to the Premier League, and he's in his prime. He's not a kid. He shouldn't need this adjustment period.
Fair enough.
No, yeah, and I agree with you. And I think it's interesting because Pep likes these type of players like Raheem Sterling. Raheem Sterling's had bad seasons, good seasons, bad seasons. This season he's actually pretty good. And so I think that's where that Pep system allows for Jack to just be a guy because he knows he's got all these guys who can win him games. With Aston Villa, it was all on him. And I think that's maybe where it falls. And similarly to the guy I wanted to put on the fraud watch, Jaden Sancho, similar thing. Dortmund needed him to win them games. There was no one else. And so whereas here, as Jaden Sancho, you arrive and you're like, there's Cristiano, there's Bruno, there's Marcus, who I'm adding Marcus onto Fraud Watch, by the way. Food Bank Barini. I really like guys. But for all the hype that Jaden Sancho came with, this has been underwhelming. I know he's improved in the middle of the season. I know he has, but for the hype, it's been underwhelming to the point where there was the stat where I think Coutinho's doubled the tally or has the same amount as Jaden Sancho.
I can't disagree that he's been underwhelming, but I think there are mitigating circumstances in Jaden Sancho. He is a kid. He is coming from a different league.
You paid a lot of money.
I think he's a technical player coming from a technical team into a very non-technical team. And I think Man United are in this flux at the moment where they're struggling to incorporate technical players like Jaden Sancho, like Donny van de Beek. So there is mitigation for Jaden Sancho
He has a question for you though, Wahid.
I'd place his struggles. I'd place the blame for his struggles more at the feet of the club rather than of the player. But that's just me and how I feel about United at the moment.
The way Sancho is performing at United, do you think it justifies why City let him go? Because do you think they saw this and said, he's good, but not 100% sure he's good?
No, that's rewriting history. City didn't want to let him go. Jaden Sancho asked to leave. So City offered him
but
three contracts.
Yes,
City
obviously City want to keep him, but he was never going to... When was he going to crack into that City squad? 5 years?
But hold on. Then we're gonna question because City have been able to promote one young player from the academy. So it's not like it's
I'm just asking the question.
A conveyor belt of talent coming through into the first team. So,
but do you think you kind of go, okay, it makes a little bit of sense now? Or do you go,
maybe, but we need to take into account the fact that that at clubs like City and Chelsea, players aren't promoted from the academy, so he didn't see a clear path in the first team.
Get you, but that's when I saw. Obviously, everyone knows he left City, went to Dortmund, comes back, and you're like, okay, now this kid shone in the German league, and he's going to come here and he's going to lie.
Okay, but then let me put Paul Pogba on the fraud watch list and say that basically,
but he has been on the fraud watch list.
Yeah, we've never taken him off.
Let's put Paul Pogba there, and Man United were vindicated in letting him go the first time because he's been shit when he's come back.
Yes, but you put him on. You put him on the last time we did the show.
Yeah. How do you put him on fine? I hate the guy.
Exactly. You literally just proved my point.
Dean, why isn't Harry Kane on your fraud watch list? Or is he?
He's close. I think it's tough for me because Kane's head was completely missing in the beginning of the season. Man didn't want to play for Spurs. Everyone knows he wanted to go to City. And then when Conte's come in, he's been really... There's been a lot of comments this week, especially saying, Kane's whole demeanor's changed. He's really positive at the moment. There's talks of him wanting, not him wanting to sign a new contract, but putting a new contract on the table, which probably not going to get signed. But he's definitely become a lot better since Conte's arrived. So I think that's mitigating a little bit of the downfall that I've had with Kane a lot in the early part of the season. But for me, the most obvious fraud watch of this entire season is Cristiano Ronaldo. The guy walked into...
I just want to jump in on the Harry Kane thing there. I think that players like Harry Kane, we can't place on a fraud watch list because he's proved himself over such a long period of time.
Yeah,
so we need to say that it's a good player in bad form. For me, Marcus Rashford, good player, bad form, though I think he's improving somewhat. And I think that players like that have proved themselves. So it's difficult to put a player who's proved himself in the Premier League over a long period of time on a fraud watch.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So fraud watch is usually for new signings who are coming in and struggling to integrate.
But this is a new signing who is the GOAT. And
of all of them.
Fraud, the ultimate fraud.
Fraud all around here.
The guy, let's not kid ourselves. We all sat here, first game, Newcastle, man scores 2 goals. It was like, let's go. Absolutely, the man's back in the Prem. We're going to have it. United are going to light it up. And he can't even crack the starting 11 anymore. And I know that's a bit of it's just me having a dig, but he's just not... And look, it's very much got to do with the people that are around him. He's obviously not the Ronaldo that we all know from when he first was in the Prem. But he's just not... He's literally... United are treating him like a marksman, like just someone to aim balls at. In that last 15 minutes when he came on at Burnley, he was just a target man. He's basically just a better-looking Chris Wood. And... That's literally the way that United are playing him at, and it's just not effective.
I know. Maybe for 15 minutes they ran out of ideas against Burnley, but that's not how they played him. They played him out on the wing. They've tried things with.
They've tried, but what I'm saying is in that Burnley game,
and it has not worked out. This guy has looked short of the mark, and again, I don't think that this is the nature of Cristiano Ronaldo. Being affected by underperforming Man United side, because I truly feel that if we had signed someone like Mbappe or Erling Haaland, they probably would have taken us up a level. Cristiano Ronaldo's actually held this team back a bit. From the team that they were last season to the team that they are right now, the difference is Cristiano Ronaldo. I think that it hasn't worked. It's not going to work, and I suspect that if the club were to move forward, they need to get rid of him this season. He's very overpaid for the level of output that he's currently achieving, and the team aren't gelling well with him. He's not gelling well with the team, and to be honest, he looks old and past it. Yes, he scored goals here and there, and he saved our asses in the Champions League, but he's looking well short of the mark. What's it, like 6 games without a goal in the Prem? Like he's just not looked at it.
Absolutely shocking.
He's just like he's been found out. Defenders know what to expect. He tries scoring from improbable angles when he's got teammates in better positions. He's very selfish. No, he is very selfish,
Yes.
and
This is interesting. This is wild.
The best goal he scored was the one against Spurs because it meant that Nuno got fired and Conte came in. So I will always be appreciative of Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
But let's place him firmly on fraud watch. He is a pianoless Alexis Sanchez.
But you also put Rafael Varane on that list. I'm sorry. He was supposed to come in and he was supposed to fix your defense. He was supposed to be the person that Maguire settles that back line.
Hold on, he's been injured a lot, so he's been in and out of the side. Number one. Number two, he's
Champions League for us. You guys were ready to worship him.
He's looked decent. He has looked decent.
As he
and I think he is being hamstrung a little bit by our captain, leader, and liability, Harry Maguire.
Okay. Oh yeah. I just want to put Rafa Benitez and that entire Everton team, and also Marcelo Bielsa, because I know what he's doing on fraud.
I have been banging on that drum for a long time.
Marcelo's now become El Loco. He's it's gone crazy now.
That guy is can't speak English, can't coach a team. I mean, I don't know what people see in that dude.
But anyway, there you have it. Thank you very much, guys. That's our mid-season awards here at the Cheap Seats. If you agree or disagree with us, let us know in the comment section, and also engaging with us on the various social media platforms.
We didn't talk enough about how Lukaku is an absolute failure.
Yes, Wahid will do that. So find him on Twitter and bait him like
wait
that.
for the next Chelsea game, and then you'll see.
Yes. But from myself and the guys, thank you very much. Remember, we've got an FPL show that will be coming out as well for this one. So please do look out for that one. Thank you very much, guys. And remember, classicshirts.co.za, really good, awesome classic shirts that you can get from ourselves here at Cheap Seats. Le sale, cacafiso.